Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Climate of Sport podcast with me, Claire Poole. It is a pleasure to be back with you again this week, and I am delighted to be joined by a really special guest this week as well. So, introducing Brent Suter. Brent, for any of you who don't know, who would that be, is a Major League Baseball pitcher for the LA Angels, nicknamed the Raptor for his quick pitching tempo. He's also played for the Rockies and the Reds. A grad of Harvard University, no less, with an environmental science degree before making his MLB debut for the Brewers in 2016. And then off the field, Brent's a prominent environmental activist. He's a children's book author. And also, Brent, you were the 2025 Marvin Miller Man of the Year Award. Did I get everything?
Yes, you
What
did.
did I miss?
Appreciate the intro.
You have to sit and listen to all your accolades. That's my favorite part of the pod, when I read people their bio. And also, I should say, we both sit on the board of Eco Athletes, which is how we know each other. So in terms of that, you're obviously heavily involved as well. So first of all, let's start off with, how are you? How's life at the minute? How are you feeling?
Good. Thank you. Yeah, we're right in the thick of the season here, about a little over halfway through the season, and All-Star break right around the corner. I think we got 4 games till All-Star break, so countdown on. We got a fun All-Star break planned with the family. The fam, I have 3 boys and a wife, and they moved out to California for the summer with me, which has been amazing. We're living on like Newport Beach. It's awesome. So my wife wants to move there now, so we'll see about that. But
have to stay.
Right. But it's been great. And the season, we've had some ups and downs, both personally and as a team, but we're fighting through it. And we got a great group of guys and coaches to get through this. So we're definitely, I look forward to going to the park every day still. And it's just been a blast.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? So do you feel like you're settled now at the Angels?
Yeah. No, they welcomed me with open arms. I felt settled in, honestly, a couple hours into spring training of meeting everybody. It was super easy. Like I said, everyone really welcoming and really nice, and they care about each other. They're humble. So it's a great group. Just between the lines, we haven't been playing as well as we wanted to, but there's still a lot of time left, a lot of game left. We just got to get it rolling.
Absolutely that. And, resilience and team building and building the season. I love that as well. It sounds like an amazing crew. I love when I chat to athletes to get the inside track, because a lot of people have a perception of athletes and like what your life's like and what your day's like and, what you do. So first of all, tell us something that fans don't see when it comes to like an MLB baseball player. What are we not seeing that's your lived reality?
Yeah, that we're people too, and that we have good days and bad days. Sometimes we wake up feeling ready and going, and other days we have to really work to get to that point of in high competitive energy. And sometimes we're dealing with sicknesses, aches, bruises, pains that you just can't even imagine how much, especially the position players, how much pain these guys are playing through. Yeah. It is crazy, and how much treatment they need to get before and after the game. So that we're people too, and we're just trying to stay elite and stay competitive in this crazy hard league that is Major League Baseball. Any top level sporting is going to have some crazy amount of competition to it, and the grind and journey to get there is very hard, but even harder is probably the ability to adapt and stay at that level throughout the years is really challenging. So that we're people too, and that we have a lot of stuff going on and off the field, pain wise, emotion, and family stuff. So just hang with us when we're in the struggles, I guess.
I love it. Yeah, I think because there is this, we talk about this a lot of like, especially elite athletes are the closest thing we have on earth to superheroes, because we like see how we feel when we go out for a run, or you play, kids are playing baseball, or you kind of play mess about matches and you feel that, and you think, how are these, especially the number of games you play and the travel and then the performance and like how you keep yourself in shape. I guess, there's a tendency to think of athletes as like superhuman because of what you do, but you're just people.
Right. No doubt.
So obviously people know you as a baseball player first, probably, but you, as I mentioned at the top, graduated Harvard with a degree in environmental science and public policy. Where did your love of that come from? What made you decide to study that? And then how do you go from there to baseball, Brent?
I knew probably from 2006 on, when I saw An Inconvenient Truth documentary that Al Gore did about 20 years ago. My mom and I watched it, and it just blew me away of how, our planet is in a tough spot, and how we're the cause, and wanted to be part of the solution. So I kind of set my heart on studying it in college and doing something about it with my life. And obviously baseball has gotten in the way a little bit of being, professionally driven with environmental causes, but I've been able to use the platform and the, baseball, I guess, notoriety or whatever to be able to get with some great organizations and connect with some amazing people. And so it's really been a fun kind of twist on the environmental journey baseball's been. But yeah, it was 2006, about 20 years ago. It was when I always loved nature, animals, the planet, all that. But it really, the urgency to do something about it was started about 20 years ago.
Nice. So that Watching the Inconvenient Truth, which is terrifying when you say 20 years ago, because I remember screening that film when I was working. I think I'm a few years older than you, which now makes me feel, oh, we're in that bracket now where things happened
Yeah.
20 years ago, but we were adults. So that's terrifying. That kind of came before your career. Did you think going into being like a baseball player that I can use my platform as a baseball player to raise awareness of this? Or was it more of a natural progression where you realized like, oh, actually, I've got a platform here and now I can bring in my passion? What came first, I guess?
I knew I wanted to do it at some point, but I was kind of doing the individual stuff, talking with teammates, doing some, reusable bottles and Tupperware and all that instead of the trash. But 2018 is when I really kind of came out as a, an activist or whatever, and started a campaign, Strike Out Waste, where I got all kinds of reusable bottles from my teammates and fans and coaching staff and front office with the Brewers, and made it a big social media campaign. And we got so many bottles sent to us and all that stuff. It was really cool. And then got connected with Player for the Planet from there. And a couple of years later, Eco Athlete. It's just a kind of one after the other. Has been a very natural progression after that. But I would say 2018 or 2019 was when I came out as the environmental guy.
Nice. And shout out Chris Dickerson and Lou Blaustein in those organizations who have
Yes.
who you've been part of. That's amazing. Relatively recently, you spoke to Sammy at Climate Coloured Goggles and spoke about sponsorship in sport, which was massive. Like, we did a lot of coverage of you doing that. It was the first time really a professional baseball player or athlete with skin in the game, basically, and some of these branding sat around them have really spoken out in the way that you did, which actually was taking a stand, but I think you did it in a very authentic but also careful way. Not that you were being careful, but that, it wasn't like trying to call anyone out. It was basically saying, like, we all have these challenges, we're all trying to do our best, but these are things that need to change, which I thought was a really authentic but thoughtful way of doing it. And that's obviously got a lot of coverage since then. So tell me what went into your thought process of sort of speaking out in that way, and then what's happened, if anything, since.
I released a statement a couple months ago with Zan Durbin, who led some protests and really focused on sponsorship in sport, fossil fuel company sponsorship in sport, protesting that. And she's like, could you give us a statement? I thought about it, wrote one out, went to the Angels PR, and they helped me kind of direct it a little bit. Like you were saying, it's careful but authentic, but I'm trying to make sure the point's getting across, but in a respectful way. So crafted the statement, and then from then there's been a lot of interviews and coverage coming from it, and Sammy was one of those interviews. And I told him, like, I just want us to do better. I want us to from our sponsorship way. I want the companies that are sponsoring us to do better by the planet. I want the companies that we choose to sponsor us to be good for the planet, and a net benefit, if you will, for humanity. And that's what I said, and it's from the heart, and it's definitely gotten some coverage. And I'm amazed that I'm actually the first one. It was 2026, and I can't believe that I'm like the first one. But it's something that's unique, and hopefully more athletes follow the kind of the directive of being able to speak from their heart about this issue.
Yeah, definitely. And just in line with that, of, one of the things we hear a lot when we chat to athletes about campaigns, or we hear the work that they're doing, they're like, oh, I'm in a team sport, and if I speak out, then that's like, does that affect the other players? Or like, I represent this organization and it might not be their view, and I've got branding or sponsorship, and like, I don't want to upset them, which are all really honest and relevant reasons maybe to not speak out. What's your experience been with in terms of, the team there signed off on it, but like teammates and maybe organizations you're involved with, you're very authentic in this space and people know what you're about. But has it been cool?
No, guys have been very supportive of it. Sometimes I get ribbon like, oh, liberal, blah, blah, because there's a pretty conservative leaning base to a lot of baseball players. And so sometimes I'll get the ribbon like, oh, you lefty and lib, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time it's just like, hey, I respect it. And they really, what they respect is like kind of the commitment to the behavior. I don't, with my diet, I don't eat any red meat or seafood or limited. Basically, it's like a fist or smaller with chicken or turkey per meal, and I do the reusable Tupperware and I do the reusable cups. So they see that day after day, and that kind of gains a little bit of respect. Like, hey, I don't necessarily roll with that, but I
Yeah.
respect it and I'll support your decisions or whatever. So that's been good. But yeah, I would say some teammates more so than others are open to speaking out about it. And doing that, Players for the Planet's really helped because that's kind of been a very politically neutral campaign and an organization. So we've gotten some guys on the Players for the Planet train, but yeah, overall it's a little ribbon, but mostly just good conversation and support.
Also, would it be sport if you didn't get a little bit of ribbon? Like you got whatever you're into, like music,
right.
fashion, like thing, like surely banter is the heart of that teammate environment anyway. So if it wasn't that, it'd be something else, wouldn't it?
That's right. Yeah, there's good ribbon going on in the clubhouse at all times.
Thank God. Good team vibes. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about the impact of the climate crisis on your career as an athlete. Weirdly, baseball is one of the sports where actually the increasing temperature can help in some areas the ball travel faster through the air and therefore can contribute to more home runs. There was some research out about that. That is a weird, there's a few sports in a very small way, the same in some parts of the world with surfing where you get bigger waves because of that temperature. Now, obviously, this is not a positive thing because there's massive downsides to the climate crisis and increased heat, athlete fatigue, and so much that goes around that. But you've been playing for 10 years. Have you felt those changes? Have you experienced it? Or how do you think about the trade-offs of, when people pull up those stats about baseball potentially sort of benefiting in the short term from a warming climate versus the trade-offs of what you're dealing with as an athlete?
Yeah, there have been definitely some days. Like I remember a day in Chicago a couple years ago where it was just crazy hot, like some of the hottest I've ever felt, and it was just like, "Whoa, this is a climate change day." I kind of joke about it to my teammates, but this happy climate change day, climate change awareness day, when it's like oppressive heat like that. Certainly in the minor leagues too, in the Southern League, there's some hot days. We had, we lived in Biloxi, Mississippi for a summer, and it was crazy hot. You just feel it really like unnaturally hot. And then, like you said, they had some extra home runs balls where we've given up some balls that you're like, that's not a home run. What? And it turns out some of them are because of the weather.
Yeah.
Heat.
It's crazy. It is crazy. But I think it's important to note that, even though that feels like a win, it's absolutely not a win in terms of maybe in the short term, but like the long-term impact for baseball, especially in terms of how many games you guys have to play and where you have to play them and the kit and the length of the game and stuff. As we go into an increasing temperature, it's going to be really difficult, isn't it, on that score? You are an incredible pitcher, and I was thinking the qualities of a pitcher in baseball. Do you see any overlap? You've got this environmental background, you're like an activist, advocate. In terms of digging deep and your resilience and your work and your power and that kind of thing, do you see qualities that make you a really good pitcher and also an activist as well?
Yeah, resilience, I would say, because we get on the climate front, we get hit with so many, especially lately, just so many bad news and so much what could be articles that lead you down a depressing road, but you just got to stay resilient, stay positive, stay hopeful, stay active. And kind of the same thing with pitching. You get knocked down so many times every year of just like, oh my gosh, what? Oh, boom, boom, boom. Body shots, bad outing. And then, pitching through this, pitching through that. And you just got to stay resilient. And I think that's kind of the main characteristic that is shared between those two fronts. Resiliency really for any baseball player is one of, if not the most important quality. It's just such a long season, such a grind. You gotta pick yourself up off the mat so many times, and just to be able to do that over and over again is quite a quality that is very necessary.
Yeah, love that. You probably won't be playing in 20 years' time, Brent. I'll hasten to add. You never know. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo at the World Cup.
I promise you I won't be playing in 20 years. I promise you that.
Your kids might be. Your kids, you might have some. We might have some little leaguers there. But if you think of your sport now in 20 years' time and the way things are changing with the climate crisis, what do you think are the big things that at that stage either will have to change or that fans will notice, or adaptations that you can see coming already? Is there anything that sort of springs to mind?
I think you'll see a lot more. Like we're here in Texas, where the Rangers had a relatively new stadium that was outdoors, but it was so hot here that they had to build a whole indoor stadium called Globe Life Field. And I think you're going to see more of that, especially the Southern teams like Atlanta, some other teams are just going to go indoor stadiums because it's just too hot. And, a lot of the Southern teams already do. When you think of Houston here, Miami, Tampa, but you're going to see some other ones that are going to be building indoor structures just to be able to play, and stay healthy and keep the fan experience safe. So you're going to see that. And then I think, you'll see, unfortunately, more weather delays, rain delays, all that stuff. And unfortunately, it's more superstorms that'll affect stadium construction or the structural integrity like you saw in Tampa. So stuff like that will probably be happening, but hopefully mitigated by some good policy change and good behavior change.
Yeah, love that. Thinking about that, I was just thinking that we said at the top about you were the 2025 Martin Miller Man of the Year, and you got that award because of using your platform to draw attention to the impacts of the climate crisis, the global crisis of plastic waste, and your wider environmental work. So you're a very humble guy yourself, and you kind of care passionately about this, and you do your thing. What did it mean to you to get an award like that and to be recognised for the work that you're doing?
It meant a lot, honestly. It was peer voted on. It was one of the most meaningful things I've ever gotten in my life. And I just was so appreciative of the guys voting for me, but appreciative of the union and everything it's done for me and for, all the player group throughout the years. And the quality people we have there is amazing. And at this point, they're like uncles to me. All the people working and friends and uncles and family members at this point. So it was really special. And it's one of those things you put on the mantle, you never forget. It means a lot.
That's amazing. It's so cool. Right. Two final questions, and then we're going to go into a quick fire round, Brent, which is always my favorite part of an interview. Two things. First of all, baseball is so ubiquitous in the US, and then obviously you have a huge following in places like Japan and other parts of the world. Like, the reach of baseball is so huge. If you could get every baseball fan that follows the teams or the sport, major league, minor league, little league, all of it that goes around baseball, if you got all of them to do one thing tomorrow to tackle the climate crisis or benefit the environment, what would it be?
Diet change. Honestly, this is what we eat, and the stress we put on the food system is amazingly impactful. It's probably the most bang for your buck change you can get. So, everyone's stopping eating red meat. Honestly, was probably the easiest thing, because cows, I love them as creatures, they are very polluting, especially how we farm them. When we don't rotationally graze them, they can become very much carbon and methane emitters. And the cattle ranching certainly drives a lot of deforestation out the world. So no eating red meat, I guess.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a great one. And that surely would have a huge impact if every baseball fan did that.
Oh,
so
yeah. That would do that for sure.
It surely would. We'd love that. And then also my last question is, I guess, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have, like, about in what people call like activists or environmentalists or whatever, however you're sort of boxed in around that in terms of your work? What do people think about you and then realize that's not the case in terms of misconceptions?
Yeah, I think they not that all are this, but I think a lot of people think that environmentalists are secular or super, anti-spiritual or all that stuff. But I know for me and many others, that's an exception. I'm very much like coming at this through a spiritual lens. I'm very much a Christian, and I believe that God gave us this gift, planet Earth, for a reason, and it's our job to care for creation, care for His creation. So I come at environmentalism through absolutely a spiritual lens and through a Christian lens. So I think that's very much a misconception that I don't know why that's happened, but certainly I try to debunk that. And when people get on that train of like, oh, you don't care, I'm like, no, trust me, this is part of my Christian service. I think, I look at it like that.
Yeah, fantastic. And a lovely note to finish on as well in terms of the chat, Brent. And I want to do a quick fire round with you before we finish, because this is always fun. You're allowed one, pass, or both, but only one, okay? Very strict here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, quick fire round. Pitching at home or silencing an away crowd?
Oof, silencing an away crowd, especially the big ones.
That's a good feeling. Beach cleanup or tree planting?
Tree planting.
City break or wilderness adventure?
Wilderness adventure.
You're flying through these, no problem. Team speech or one-on-one motivational chat?
I like team speeches. I like giving speeches to the team.
Oh, nice. You give them too, as well as getting them. That's brilliant.
Yeah, last year I was doing the post game victory celebration speeches for the Reds all year, and it was a blast. I loved it.
Amazing. Fantastic. More of that. Let's see more of that. Fame or impact? Yeah,
Impact.
impact. Book or podcast?
Book.
Yes. And what is the most used app on your phone?
Gmail.
Gmail.
Work.
Work mails. Very
Yeah.
industrious. That's a good answer. And then the last one, which let's see what you say. World Series champion or environmental policy breakthrough?
Oh boy. Oh.
You haven't
Uh,
taken your pass, but I will push you.
yeah. No, I'll do policy break though.
Oh my
Wow.
God,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah. That's a
serious.
hard one though. Wow. It's
That's
like
serious.
50.5 to 49.5% on that one. Wow.
That is
That's hard.
seriously, seriously good of you. Well done, you. Well done, you, for choosing that one. And really, we're not going to hold you for it. You can have both.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
In our pretend quick fire round, we'll give you both. We'll give you both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, Brent, it's been such a pleasure to chat to you and have you on the Climate of Sport podcast. Like, you are a fantastic person and an inspiration and an amazing, like, let's say, use case of someone who can compete at the highest levels of professional sport and then really authentically engage around this topic as well, which hopefully encourages more people to do it. So we really appreciate you using your platform, taking the time and chatting as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Claire.
thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Claire Poole from Sport Positive. It is a pleasure to see you. Are you following me on Instagram and LinkedIn? You should be. Are you following Sport Positive on Instagram and LinkedIn? You should be. Are you listening to our weekly podcast, The Climate of Sport? You should be. Are you getting our weekly intelligence brief? You should be. There's so much that we are doing at the intersection of sport and the environment, and you can get involved in so many different ways. So head to the link in the bio now to follow, to engage, and to get involved. We can't wait to hear from you.